Hello, me dearies, and welcome to the Dan and Lew Show, a unique podcast to help supplement your life with entertainment, that of which has been shovelled from the cesspools of urine and various other human excrement. On today's episode, we will discuss Xbox One and dive into the world's latest wacky news stories. I'll give you a brand new word for your day-to-day vocabulary and much, much more. But first, what have you been up to this week, Lew?
I have not been up to a lot this week at all, because I've been working. We've been on about this for a while.
We have.
But I'll be leaving just before Christmas because it's crap. In a nutshell, it's crap. What I have done is I've dushed up my hair a bit.
You have, and what our podcast listeners obviously won't be able to see with it, naturally being a podcast, your hair is looking much better.
Yes. 60 years old, but I now look 17 again. Crap film, don't see it.
You've got rid of your lovely grey hairs, and now you've got a lot of brown.
Well, it's the same colour. It's the same colour. A little bit darker, but it looks natural. If you've never met me before, you'd never know it dyed.
No, you would not. It looks good. You been up to anything else?
No.
Not really?
That's pretty much the only major-ish change that I've made over the past couple of weeks. How about you two? What's going on?
I've been at work most of the week, really. What listeners may be able to hear is that normally we record our podcast over Skype, so I'm about 70 miles away from Lew. This episode, however, we are right next to each other, and we are recording it live in the DNL studio.
DNL studio,
yes.
In Los Angeles.
So it's all good. But yes, just work really all week. My new car is going quite well. I think I mentioned that on the last podcast.
You did, yes.
Bought it, and it's all going well. However, what I did want to speak with you about is, of course, next week is going to be quite a big week for gaming, because on Friday the 22nd of November, the next iteration of Microsoft's gaming console, Xbox One, is released. Are you going to get it?
Of course, because of you, I actually got the 360. I was initially going to get the PS3 because I have a PS2. A lot of my favourite games are on that series of consoles, but you converted me like a... I wouldn't say that interpretation, but the 360 is very good. It's now exploded, but it's good, and I will be getting the Xbox One too.
Good.
Around just after release, I guess. Something like that, yes.
I'll certainly be getting it. I don't know when, probably after Christmas, once all the niggles and the bumps and glitches have all been ironed out, and hopefully the price has come down at least a little bit. We were looking earlier at the Xbox One with Rise Son of Rome bundle that Game are doing at the moment. I think it's £480 roughly for that. It's quite expensive, but then again, if you think an iPhone is £500 plus, you're getting quite a lot for your money, really.
It is.
And it's going to certainly last a hell of a lot longer. But yeah, so like I say, next Friday is the Xbox One release. It comes with a 500GB hard drive, which most people will think is going to be, more than enough. However...
Well, a very famous YouTuber has been looking at the PS4 lately and has seen that console specifically has around 500 gigabytes, but a lot of the games are 22 gigabytes as well, so obviously the file size is a lot larger, so it may seem like a lot, but compared to the last generation, it's pretty much the same in terms of how much gigabytes there are, because a lot of the games on 360, the PS3, are like 7 gig. So we're actually getting a lot more now with the 22 gigabytes, so yeah, I think it's the same. I don't think it's a big jump in terms of how much storage there is, because obviously 22 gigabytes over a 400 gigabyte hard drive, and on the 360 it was like, 6 gigs?
Yeah, it wasn't very much.
Like a 60 gig hard drive as well, so I don't think there's a big jump in terms of how much storage there is, because I think it's still, in contrast, it's roughly the same.
What's incredible though is, have you seen the Need for Speed download size? It's almost 50 gigabytes. It's touted as being the biggest gaming download of the current games that are due to be released so far that we know of.
Yes.
But yeah, almost 50 gigabytes. The thing is, if people have got a broadband, most people have a data cap, but 50 gigabytes just for one game, then of course you got all the multiplayer and your day-to-day activities on the internet. It's going to cost an absolute fortune. It really is, an arm and a leg. Of course, the PlayStation 4 is released very shortly afterwards. I won't be getting that because I certainly won't be able to afford both. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to the Xbox One. Now, on our last episode, I gave you a very enticing riddle.
You did.
I did. You've been quite stumped on it, I believe.
Yes, I think I've got an answer for it, too. Can you remind me what it was again?
Yes, it was, how can a man go 8 days without sleep?
It doesn't seem physically possible, but I think I've got a futuristic answer for this, too. For a man to go 8 days without sleeping, you shove him in a cryo chamber, freeze him, and then 8 days later you wake them up. They've never been asleep at all because they never actually went to sleep, did they? Because they've been frozen.
Oh, this is very true. It's quite a scientific answer.
Yes,
Very well thought out.
I'm sticking with that one, too.
Unfortunately,
What?
that is incorrect.
Is this?
Yes, I'm very sorry.
That's good. That was a good answer.
It's a good answer, but I'm afraid it's not the right one.
Oh.
You see, how can a man go 8 days without sleep? It's quite easy, really. He sleeps at night. He doesn't sleep during the day.
See?
He sleeps at night. He goes 8 whole days without sleeping.
Because he sleeps at night
Because
instead.
he sleeps at night instead.
Oh, that's very daft.
It was staring you in the face all that time.
What a stupid answer.
Silly answer. So, have you got a riddle for me?
Yes, I do, and it's not quite as ridiculously childish as that one was. This one's actually quite a clever one once the answer is revealed in the next episode. But today, the riddle of the week is, what is the longest word in the dictionary? What is the longest word in the dictionary, do? Any answers that pop into your head?
I did used to know the longest word.
Oh, yes.
However, I no longer do. The longest word I now know is anti-disestablishmentarianism, which is quite a commonly known word now. It's not the longest in the dictionary, but that's gonna be my potential answer. I'll have a think on it.
You're going for a rather realistic answer there.
I am, yes, but it's a rather realistic question.
What is the longest word?
Exactly.
What's the longest word?
So I'll think on that one. Well, I'll get back to you. Just remind the listeners again what the riddle is.
The riddle is, my friends, what is the longest word in the dictionary?
Fantastic, Al.
I think we should move on to the news of the week, do.
Definitely. Have you been scouring the internet for some weird and wonderful news?
Yep, about half an hour ago I picked out this one.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very weird one indeed. In most states in America, obviously same-sex marriage and stuff is not allowed. Some people allow it, some people don't. But for some reason in Florida, a woman has married a Ferris wheel. And it's from Metro. A love-struck Linda Ducharme is the name of the woman who married the giant theme park ride she likes to call Bruce last year and has renewed her vows also.
Blimey. Eager.
The bizarre ceremony was filmed by the US channel Logo Television, following hot on the heels of a man who married a tree and another who married a pillow.
There are some very strange marriages happening across the pond.
Jeez, people and objects. It's crazy. It's crazy. How can you maintain a relationship with a pillow or a tree?
So she married, and I'm guessing, she had a vicar and so on.
Yeah, I guess, yes. There's a video on the link in the description of the podcast. You can check it out. A quote here says, "My heart was pounding as we went up the platform and got on the ride. I felt like I was being taken by this ride. Bruce is my world. I think about him constantly. It just completely feels right when I'm with Bruce. Oh, Bruce. Brucey Bruce." End of quote.
Oh, I shouldn't laugh. There's clearly some interesting things going on here.
But for more information on that news story, though, link in the description with a video.
Absolutely. Now, my story isn't quite as weird and wonderful as yours. This one's been on the headlines. I think it was on BBC News as well the other day. However, there is a hotel in Sweden, which you may or may not have heard of, called the Ice Hotel. I'm not going to pronounce the province in Sweden when this is, because my Swedish is terrible.
Jukkasjärvi.
Yes, there. Jukkasjärvi. In northern Sweden. And what happens is, every spring, the hotel melts, because obviously it gets warm, and then they have to, in the autumn time, rebuild the entire hotel out of pure ice. So this entire hotel is made of ice.
Okay.
You get pillows and things like that, of course, so it's all comfortable, but imagine it's incredibly cold. Certainly unique. However, health and safety laws in Sweden and across much of the Western world dictate that if it's going to be a hotel, you need to have fire alarms. And they have had to bow to health and safety at this hotel entirely made out of ice, and they've had to install fire alarms.
Into a hotel made of ice.
Into a hotel made of ice. A very, very cold hotel surrounded by frozen water. It needs fire alarms.
How can it have fire alarms? How can you have electricity running through this place?
Exactly. However, they've had to do it, and one of the quotes said, the spokesperson for the hotel said they understood that there are things that can actually set fire, like pillows and sleeping bags and reindeer skins and so on, so they might catch fire. And of course, the most important concern is the safety of their clients. But it's just very interesting considering the hotel's 124 miles above the Arctic Circle, so it's really very, very, very cold. But apparently one of the main issues they've had is, of course, ice and snow moves. It melts and refreezes again and so on. Mm-hmm. So in terms of the placement of where you're going to put these fire alarms, it's going to be very difficult. And I'm not entirely sure how they've done it. Of course they have to, because it's by law. But yes, I thought you might be interested to know there about this fascinating hotel in Sweden.
That's weird. I might go and have a bit of a trip there and try and set fire to the place and see what the deal is.
Now, this part of the show is where I like to give our wonderful listeners a new word or phrase to their everyday vocabulary, and I've been scouring the internet for the best word to give out. And there's a phrase this week, and I'm very proud of this phrase. Taken from Urban Dictionary, so you can completely understand the reliability of the definition of this phrase. This week's word is fart reduction. And taken from Urban Dictionary, this is the process of repeatedly farting into a confined space or area or on an item so as to infuse the space or item with the pure essence of the fart. So I say, fart reduction. And this can be used in a variety of situations. For example, I totally gave my ex-girlfriend's pillow a fart reduction the week after we fought.
Wow.
So there you go, a new phrase to add to your vocabulary, and you now know what the process of repeatedly farting into a confined space or area or on an item so as to infuse the space or the item with the pure essence of the fart.
Fart reduction.
Fart reduction.
Pure essence.
And I think that pretty much wraps up this week's fantastic episode.
Yes, we've gone over a bunch of things this week.
We have. We've provided our audience with a great number of newsy items. Of course, the Xbox One, hopefully.
We're friends about that. We're friends.
Thank you, of course, very much for listening to our podcast. It's a short one this week, because, of course, we all know that you'll be too busy looking up the Xbox One and the PS4. But hopefully, you'll be able to answer Lew's riddle, which is...
The riddle is, what is the longest word in the dictionary?
Fascinating stuff.
It's going to be a good one. It's a good one.
I do look forward to finding out the answer, and hopefully I'm going to be able to guess it.
And hopefully you will be able to answer it in our Christmas spectacular.
Absolutely.
Before Christmas, and that'll be our final one of the year, probably. It's been good. It's been great. Well, thank you for listening, and
we'll see you then.
Me and Do will listen. Bye.